ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये यस्यात्मभूतस्य गुरुप्रसादात् अहं विमुक्तोऽस्मि शरीरबन्धात् सर्वोपदेष्टु पुरुषोत्तमस्य तस्यान्वे पद्मप्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् प्रह्लाद नारद पराशर पुण्डरीक व्यासामृष सुख सौनक भीष्म दल्भ्यान् रुक्माङ्ग उदौ विभीषण फल्गुनादीन् पुण्यानिमां परमभागवतं नमामि जन्मादि अस्य यतो अन्वया इतरतस्य अभिज्ञास्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदय आदिहवये मुह्यन्त्यः सूरयः तेजो वारिमृतां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गामृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तगुहं सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्मप्रोचितकैतव अत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृत किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृदि अवरुध्यते अत्र कृतभिः शुश्रूषभिः शंसनात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं कल्पलं सुखमुखादमृतं ध्रुवसंयुक्तं बिबत भागवतं रसमालय मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां स्वगतकृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामदुःखशमनं नमामि हरिं परम् हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Namaste to everyone. In the last session, we covered a nice story on Shaubari Muni, who went and got married to the daughters of Mandhata. Mandhata lineage is being explained further in Srimad Bhagavatam. He had a couple of sons. One of the sons, whose name was Purukutsa. In his lineage, many great kings appeared. One of the well-known king in that lineage is Harishchandra. Harishchandra, a great Satyavan, tried to speak only truth and follow the dharma perfectly. So, in the same lineage of Harishchandra, many great kings were born. One of the king name was Vrika. Vrika had a son called Bahuka. Bahuka had a son whose well-known famous king by the name Sagara. Sagara is a great king who comes from the same Mandhata lineage of Mandhata. He was married to two wives. One of the wives' name was Sumati, another one was Keshini. Sumati was related to Garuda as a sister. So Sagara had these two wives but never had a children. So he didn't have son for many years because for king they very much aspire to have offspring, a son, so that they can leave their legacy and they can leave a right person to rule the kingdom. So since he didn't have son for many years, he decided to go and perform some austerity. And he did perform a great austerity along with his two wives. That time, Brihumuni, who was present there, he came in front of this king, and the king Sahara asked, "Could you please bless us with son?" And Brihumuni was happy to see the king, his austerity, his wife's austerity, and he told them that yes, I'll bless you, that you will have children. Since you have two wives, one will have one son who is enriched in his qualities, in his dynasty, and not really in quality, but is enriched, means very powerful. Whereas another one will have 60,000 sons. 60,000 sons. Whereas in Saubari Muni's case, we saw he only had 5,000 sons. Now, the Muni is blessing that one of your wife will have one son, another one will have 60,000 sons. So I bless you. When the Bhrigu Muni said like this, the wives were telling, "Could you please tell me who will get one son and who will get 60,000 sons?" And Bhrigu Muni did not want to get into the conflicts and doesn't want to be into these problems. So he said that your choice, whoever want whichever option, you will get. So when the options has been given, then Keshini, she opted for one son. She opted for one son. And whereas the other wife, Sumati, opted for 60 sons, 60,000 sons. The one son, the days passed with their blessing, they went back to their kingdom. The days passed and month passed, and Keshni had a son, Asamanjas. His name was Asamanjas. And Sumati waited for some more time, and finally she got 60,000 sons, not 16, 60,000 sons. Okay, 60,000 sons. So they were also youthful, handsome, powerful, very good. So Sagara was very happy, and the problem was that um, his desire was to perform a special yagya, Ashwamedha yagya. So he thought he will perform an Ashwamedha yagya. Ashwamedha yagya means you need to have a horse. So he had a powerful, nice horse which will go into the sacrifice of the fire. So they offer the horse into the fire, and then the whole yagya becomes complete.
Prabhuji?
Yeah, I will open up for questions. Just hold on. Let me continue. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So yeah. Now, don't forget your question. Write it down. Then we can open up for questions. So the problem before that was Asamanjas. The son name was Asamanjas. He was a little bit of a child abuser, meaning that he grabs the children and he tortures them, he throws them into the waters in the river of Sarayu. Sarayu was the river which was running there that time, even now. So his behavior was little weird and disturbing for the citizens and people, and they all came and complained to the ministers, and the ministers took the complaint to the king, Sahara. And Sahara was also not happy with his son's behavior. He tried to give good advices, teach him good things. But Asamanjas was not changing his behavior. He was becoming more and more aggressive and sinful, torturous, especially torturing all the good people. So this was continuing for some period, and people were becoming restless and not happy, and The king, understanding the situation, he then sent off Asamanjus out of the country. He was just, asked to leave the country and go into the forest. So Asamanjus left the kingdom and he went away. And after that is when Sahara, he wanted to perform the Ashwamedha Yagya. So he decided he will perform this Yagya. He went to a special place near the Vindhya mountains. And then over there with his wives, he started getting preparing himself with his priests and ministers and everyone gathered together and his sons, 60,000 sons, and everyone were there. And what happened was the horse was also tied and it was also ready. When the puja was going on, it was time for the horse to be given sacrifice. At that time, the priest all said, "Get the horse." And they all went to go get the horse to the spot. Surprisingly, the horse was missing. So I'm sure you all could easily guess whenever any great kings they try to perform Ashwamedha Yagya or such great sacrifice, one person is always very, very unhappy.
Prabhuji,
Yes?
Indra.
Yeah, thank you. Indra. Indra was, as usual, was not happy and then he stole the horse. He stole the horse and he went away. And Sahara was looking and searching for this horse for everywhere. He couldn't find it. He became very upset. And the priest and everyone said, "This is going to be very offensive if because you are supposed to complete this yagya, but the horse is missing. Better find the horse and complete the yagya. Otherwise, you will be getting a reaction for not completing this one." And then Sagara was thinking, what am I supposed to do? And Sahara called for his 60,000 sons, not one son, 60,000 sons. Um, as now all the 60,000 sons came in front and said, "My dear father, whatever you order, we'll do it." Well, the horse is missing. Therefore, go find wherever the horse is, whoever took the horse, punish them and get the horse back here as soon as possible. And all the 60,000 sons, and also the Sahara gave instruction how to go, where to look for, what are the places they can go. So the 60,000 sons of Sahara, they all were ready. And Sahara said, "I will stay here with my grandson Amsuman." Amsuman is the son of Asamanjas. Remember, Asamanjas was one son who was bad in his behavior. He was chased away from the country. Asamanjas had a son, completely opposite to his father, Amsuman. Amsuman is very, very well behaved, very nice son, very, very good person. Sahara's son, Asamanjas, Asamanjas' son, Amsuman. So Amsuman and Sahara were staying in that place, waiting for the horse to return. Then all 60,000 sons, they took their chariot, took their plow, took everything, whatever they needed. They got into search of this horse. They were riding their horse so much so Mother Earth got ruptured. They were trying to dig holes and try
What
to
does
find.
that mean?
Rupture means getting some sort of a rough nature. If your skin gets something itchy, right?
Yeah,
How does it feel? Ruptured, right? Something like wound,
rough, a bit rough.
a bit rough. Yeah, you
And
know.
it feels like if you try to itch, it hurts.
Yes. So like that, Mother Earth was everywhere got wounded because of the 60,000 suns just riding and digging the digging the earth and plowing with all sort of weapons and trying to go everywhere, and whatever the living entities that were living on the earth, they were running hither and thither, all the places, the, the snakes and the scorpions and all type of living entities which was living under the ground. They were all screaming and crying and no place to run, hide themselves. They were all tortured because of the 60,000 suns. Even there are other living entities who are living underneath. They don't know what to do. Seeing this one, even the devatas and asuras and gandharvas and different living entities on the different forms like reptiles, aquatics, you can just name it. Every living beings were disturbed. The great souls and rishis who are doing tapasyas, they were also very much disturbed. Of course, Mother Earth was so much in pain because of all these things. Therefore, the devatas and many living entities, they approached Lord Brahma, the forefather. So 33 million of devatas, headed by the 33 principal devatas, they all went in front of Brahma and they went and complained to Brahmaji. And they said, this is what is happening. This Sahara's sons, 60,000 sons, they are just ruining and doing all sort of things in search of just one horse. They're doing all this thing. And Brahmaji, please do something. The entire earth is shaken and disturbed. Do something. Please help. If this continues, the whole thing will be destroyed. And Brahma said, do not worry. Things will come to an end. Please return. And then, under the instruction of Brahma, all the devatas, everyone, they all returned back, thinking that something will happen better. 60,000 sons, they searched everywhere, they couldn't find the horse. They came back to their father, Sagara. And Sagara was hoping that the horse will return, but empty handed. 60,000 sons just came empty handed. And they said, we went and searched everywhere, my dear father, entire earth. We couldn't find. We couldn't find the horse. Wherever you told, we went there also. We couldn't find. And then the Sagara said, well, go beyond to other planetary systems. I'm sure it should be somewhere someone has stolen, has hidden the horse somewhere. Therefore, go further and look for this horse. You have to return with the horse, otherwise, don't return. And under the father's instruction, this obedient 60,000 sons, they again continued. They went to the surface of Rasatala. They went to Rasatala. They were digging further on those sides. As they were going further down and down and down, the entire planetary system was held. This whole thing was held by on the Rasatal. On the bottom of that, there are elephants on four different directions. They hold this whole thing on their head. And when they shake their head little bit, because you carry anything for a long time, you feel like doing like this. Ah, like this, you relax yourself, your neck, right? Like this, sometimes carrying these planet for long period. Sometimes the elephant, which is on the four directions, there are four elephants. Sometimes they also want to relax. They also do something like this. When they do slightly like this, that's when the earthquake happens. This is Shastric. There could be scientifically, people might tell various reasons why the earthquake happens. According to the scriptures, when these elephants try to just do something like this, because of the movement, the earthquake happens. That is how the Shastra says. And these elephants, who are Mahapadma, on one side of the elephant whose name is Mahapadma, Somanasa, and Bhadra, and many, all these different elephants was present on this different direction. These 60,000 boys, they went there circumambulating the elephants, and the elephant further was happy. They were happy. They said, "You have to go further, and you'll find your horse." And then the 60,000 sons, they further went deeper, and they could see the horse. They finally saw the horse. The horse was tied a close by place, where next to the horse was a sage who was present. That was none other than sage Kapila. Kapila, the great
Ji,
Muni. Yes,
I heard of Sage Kapila.
you had a what?
Um, I I just forgot.
Okay. So Kapila was the sage Kapila was right there in full meditation, sitting right there and full meditating. And the 60,000 sons, when they saw the horse and when they saw the Muni, they started making up story, right? They thought that it is this Muni, Kapila Muni, who was kidnapped, taken the horse from the puja, yagya, and tied it over here. Right? Sometimes we also make these mistakes. Many times we make this mistake that we see something together and we start connecting those things with our imagination without even having proper fact. The fact could be just because we are seeing something, two people are together, or someone is some things are moved from one place to another place, and we start thinking maybe this is the person who moved this from this place to that place, and we start imagining, and we are so much convinced our thought process is perfectly correct. Right? Many times we make assumptions. Most of the time our assumptions are all wrong, most of the time, but we have a strong opinion that my assumptions are perfectly correct. Right? Likewise, we make mistakes. Many times we make mistake. Like this, the 16,000 sons, they also made assumptions. Unfortunately, the assumptions are not correct, but they thought it is Kapila Muni who has stolen this horse and tied the horse. So they become so very angry on Kapila Muni. They all thought we have to punish this Kapila and then take the horse. So they all rushed, 60,000 great warriors rushing towards Kapila to kill Kapila. And then Kapila Muni, at that point of time, he just came out of his transcendental nature and opened his eyes, and he saw what's happening. He didn't even realize what's happening. Right? And 60,000 sons were just rushing. He just simply uttered humkar, just chanted something. With the power of his chant, all the 60,000 sons burnt into ashes. They all were burnt into ashes. Not one son survived. Everyone were burnt by the fire, and they all become ash completely. And Kapila Muni went back to his meditation. We also make sounds, right? With anger. When we make sound in anger, oh, nothing happens. Really, nothing happens. If you make more sound, maybe you get an heart attack, right? So when we make sound, nothing happens. When great rishis like Kapila said, just one word, utter one word, it has such an impact. Hmm? So here, Sadhara was waiting for a long time. He was just waiting. What happened? 60,000 sons. Uh, they have not returned yet. Then he called for his grandson. Grandson is son of Asamanjas, whose name was Amsaman. So he said, "My dear son, see your uncle, 60,000 of them, they went, have not returned back. So I'm just worried. Could you please go find what happens to your uncle as well as get the horse here. Amsuman, as a obedient, very obedient grandson of Sahara, after he heard his instruction from his grandfather, he left. He left and he went in search of this horse. He also went in the same direction, following the tracks of his uncle. So he was going different places, but he was not doing anything like how his uncles were doing. He was very sattvic. So somehow he managed to come down. He saw this elephant in these directions, and he circumlated the elephant, fell at their feet, and got their blessings. The elephant said that you will find your horse. You'll be successful in your mission of finding the horse. Do not worry. They blessed the son, Amsuman. So Amsuman went further and he saw Kapila Muni was there, and he saw the horse was there. And at the point of time, Garuda appeared. Garuda Dev appeared. And Garuda appeared. As soon as Garuda appeared, who was the carrier of Vishnu, Amsuman offered his prayers, glorified Garuda, and Garuda told him that, my dear Amsuman, the horse is right here. You can pray to Kapila, and then he will release the horse, and you can take this horse and you can go. And at point of time, Amsuman asked, what happened to my uncle, 60,000 uncle? What is all this? Seem to be a pile of ashes here. What is all this? And Garuda said, well, they misbehaved to Kapila Muni. They offended Kapila Muni, and therefore, out of anger, Kapila burned them into ashes to punish them for their behavior. And then when Amsuman heard this one, he became very sad. He became so very sad that my uncles are dead. I got to do something so they don't need to suffer because of their actions. I have to do something. So for one to liberate their ancestor, they have to do some puja. So he was trying to look for water. He couldn't find water. But then at the same time, Garuda said that, my dear Amsuman, for your 60,000 uncles to be liberated from this condition, you have to bring Ganges. You have to bring the Ganges, which is not here, from the heavenly planets. You have to bring down here. When the Ganges comes here, the Mother Ganga comes, washes these ashes, your ancestors, your uncles will get freed, will get liberated. only, only Mother Ganga can purify your uncle, and that is what you need to do, and they can attain heaven. So Amsuman heard this one from Garuda. Then he went to Kapila. He offered his prayers, glorified Kapila Muni, and Kapila Muni was very pleased. And he said, "Please take this horse." And also he instructed, "It is only Mother Ganga, Ganges, who can liberate your ancestors. If you can bring Ganga from the heavenly planet, then your ancestor will be liberated." Hearing this one, Amsuman took the horse and went back to his father and reported to his father everything that happened. Okay, now we'll pause here as before we continue what's going to happen next. Any questions? I know someone was asking a question in the start. Any question?
Rukmini,
Yes, Rukmini.
um, killing horses isn't good, right? So why did he kill horse?
Rukmini, say that slowly one more time.
So killing animals like killing horses isn't good. So why for the Ashwamedh Yajna we should kill horse?
Okay, okay. Nice question. Very, very good question. So, in the Shastra, in the scriptures, there are mentions of certain yagyas where one can perform by offering some animals. Okay. And when you offer this animal, what happens is that the host, the person who performs the yajna, he gets benefited of whatever he wants, number one. Number two is the animal that is getting sacrificed into the fire, right? That animal will get a better life, heavenly life. They leave the animal body and they get a beautiful, nice body right after they've been offered into this fire of the sacrifice. So it's a benefit for that particular animal also. It is not any sort of a suffering, but it's a benefit for the animal. Now, with that said, in Kali Yuga, we are not supposed to do any of these yakyas, fire sacrifices. Fire sacrifice, putting animal into the fire, none of those things are allowed in Kali Yuga. Those days, in different yugas, the kings were powerful and the priests were powerful, and every ingredients that was used were all pure, not contaminated. The mantras were pure when they chant. Therefore, everything was working out very nicely, no problem. Now we can't do any of those things. Everything is pretty much contaminated. We should not be doing any of these sacrifices. The only sacrifice is recommended for Kali Yuga is Nama Sankirtan, right? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, Rukmini, did you get the answer?
Yes, Jyoti, thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
This is
Krishna.
Jyoti.
Yes, Jyoti.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
You just said that if River Ganges comes down and if the ashes are washed by the water, those 60,000 uh, sons will be liberated. What act they did was so good that they will be liberated? Instead, didn't they just disrespect Kapila Muni?
Yeah. When I say liberated, they are liberated from that particular condition. That's all. They might be the ancestor. What happens is that sometimes the ancestors, when they die, not necessarily they take birth immediately. There could be various factors. The factors could be that they may be um, they may be in a different planet where they're suffering there because of their karmas, or they could be without the body. They could be without the body, just roaming as just a bhuta, without sharira. They'll be wandering in a places. So when we say liberated, these condition, they are getting freed from this particular condition, and they get a higher birth. Higher birth, maybe they will be born and take another useful birth, or if they may go to a further higher planetary system where they can get closer to moksha.
Okay,
That's
got it.
all.
Got
Yeah.
it. Hare Krishna.
Hare,
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Any other question?
Hi Krishna Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yeah, you tell your name, please. I can't
So my
see.
name is Gauransh.
Oh, Gauranj. Gauranj. Yeah, go ahead. Gauranj.
So Lord Kapila Dev was Lord Krishna himself. So why didn't he just bring Ganga Mother Ganga just why did he ask Musa to get Mother Ganga?
Why do you go to school, Gauranj? Why can't your father study for you?
Mm, mm,
Your father has studied, right? His studies is over. He is doing something else now, right? He is not going to tell, "Aray Gauransh, I love you better. You don't go to school. Now I will go to school for you." Will he do that?
no.
Is he going to, by doing that, is he doing good to you? Good to you?
No.
Yeah. Therefore, even though Kapila Muni can do everything by himself, some services is been assigned and given to others, so they can also perform something, right?
Yes.
Otherwise what happens is that people have this mentality that I'm just shifting from one topic to another topic, but it's related. People think recently we had Christmas, right? People pray, they think that we can Christ, Jesus took all the our sins, and therefore he is like we can people have this idea, therefore we can continue doing any type of sins because Jesus is the one who is going to take all our sins, right? So we have an excuse, people have an excuse to continue having a sinful life. Likewise here also, what the point I'm trying to make here or trying to explain here is that we should not become relaxed. We should take up some services, we should do something. Therefore our acharyas, our gurus, and Krishna himself give opportunity, otherwise they can do everything by themselves. Understood? Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Pavya, go ahead.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
why did the horse stay with Kapila Muni as Indra kidnapped the horse?
Indra kidnapped us because what happens is if anyone does 100 times Ashwamedha Yagya successfully, not one time, 100 times, if a person performs this horse sacrifice Yagya 100 times, that person can become Indra. Understood? If he becomes Indra, what will happen to the current Indra? He has to vacate the place, right?
Yeah.
Then he has to give up his position. Therefore, he doesn't want anyone else to become Indra. So what to do? Best thing, if someone is doing nice in their studies, steal their books, steal their pencil, hide it somewhere, say they don't do it well, correct? Sometimes people do such bad things. Indra was doing the same thing. Understood, Diksha?
Yeah.
Okay, Bhavya.
Yeah, Prabhuji, my question is that why can't they, like, when the horse was missing, why can't the king Sagra just get another horse?
Because it's not whatever has been ready, and that particular horse has to be offered. That's a promise and commitment has been made. Okay. For example, if you give a word to someone that you're going to give something, that is what you need to give. You cannot replace that with anything else. And we can find many stories, even in Bhagavatam, there are some stories where a king, by mistake, he gives a cow, he donates a certain number of cows to a Brahmana, and then the Brahmana goes to his house. One of the cows walks to another person's house, right? And then he walks out, walks back, and then the king doesn't know this. And then when another person comes, he offers the same cow to another Brahmana. And when this message that the other Brahmana came to know, he was very upset. How can you offer what has already been offered to someone else? There are many such stories are there. So the horse which is ready for offering, that is what you need to offer it. If you make a commitment, that is why in the world of pledge, in the donation, right, people pledge, I will pay $100, I will pledge $1,000, right? Pledge means you make a commitment. When you make a commitment, you cannot take it back. It's not right to do so. It is adharma. Therefore this horse is pledged to be offered, and that is the horse needs to be offered in the fire. You cannot just take another horse and just throw it into the fire just like that. Bhavya, got it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Samanvi.
Samanvi, go ahead.
So, first when he got his son, the first son that was born, the first one, just one,
Asamanjas. Asamanjas. Say his name is Asamanjas.
Asamanjas.
Okay.
So when he was born, when he was sent away,
Yeah.
why did Sagara took the one more Ashwamedha Yajna for is it for another son or was it just for
No. Oh, very good. So it is not to get another son, Samanvi. It is just so that it's king like great king like this. They perform certain yagyas as mandatory as their uh, dharma as their dharma. So he was just doing this as his dharma. That's all, not to get a son or anything. That puja is already over. This is as his duty. He was doing this yagya, this sacrifice. Okay.
Prabhuji?
Yes, Rukmini.
So I have a question that
Turn on,
um
turn on your video. We can't see you.
okay.
Okay, go ahead. Ask a question parallelly.
So what did Asamanjas do in the forest?
I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he was just going and doing whatever things he could do there with the animals. I don't know. No information is given what he was doing over there.
Oh,
Okay,
okay, thank you.
it is not of importance for us anyway. Correct?
Yes.
You want to know more about good people or you want to know more about bad people?
Good.
Well, you should also know something about bad people so that we know we should not be doing those things. That's little bit of information is already be given, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, if there is no
Prabhuji,
other
I have another question.
yeah, go ahead.
So I have heard somewhere that when we like put a step, like make a step on Jagannath Puri, it means that you did a one Ashwamedh yagya. And if we do hundreds, like if we walk like 100, like step 100 more times, why can't we become like why don't we become Indra?
Well, is that is what you want to desire to become Indra?
No.
Yeah. If you have a stronger desire, that is what I'm wanting. Therefore, I'll do a parikrama of Puri one time, which is equal to 100 Ashwamedha Yagya. My dear Jagannath, make me Indra. Jagannath will make you Indra if that is what you really wanted.
Prabhuji,
Yes,
why,
Mahati. Go ahead.
why did Indra stole like the horse?
Maybe he was into this horse riding business. I don't know. No, no, I was just joking. Why you stole the horse? You should know the answer.
Prabhuji?
One second. Mahati,
Yeah.
if the yagya is completed successfully, then Sahara is eligible to become Indra, right?
Yeah.
That is why he was trying to interrupt the puja by stealing the horse.
Oh, got
And
it.
he is very expert in doing this. We in past also saw many stories, right? Where he comes and steals the horse. He is a good horse stealer. All right. Okay, one last question. Rukmini, what's your question?
I was just about to tell that answer.
Oh, you are supposed to tell the answer. Okay, good. Okay, now let's continue for this and the next half of the story. So where did we stop? Um, they
Prabhu, there's
all.
a question on the chat
Oh, there's a
from
question.
Shivangi Mataji.
Shivangi Mataji. Okay, let's read the question. Isn't it Vasuki holding the planetary system on his head? You mentioned the elephants Could you please explain? So what happens is that the planetary system is one, but the entire universe is another bubble, right? The entire universe as a bubble is held on the Vasuki or Anantasesh. You can say that Anantasesh. So that's where this the whole universe is held, different universe. Whereas within the universe, the planetary systems are there. That is held by these elephants. Okay, there one layer and there's another layer. Did you get that answer, Mataji? Okay. Any other questions? Shivangi Mataji, did you get the answer?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. If there's no further questions, okay, let's enter into the second part of the story. Now all the 60,000 sons are dead. They are all ash. Now Amsuman came back with the horse back to his father, a grandfather, Sagara, and reported to him entire story what happened. And Sahara, understanding this one, then he gave the kingdom to Amsuman to rule the kingdom, and he was trying to find a mean how to get the heavenly water into the earth, planet Earth. By the time he was contemplating and thinking how to do, he passed away. He passed away. 32,000 years. 32,000 years. Amsuman was ruling. He was also trying his best and practicing austerity to bring the water from the heaven. But he also passed away. He died. He couldn't bring the Ganges down to earth. Amsuman had a son, Dilipa. Dilipa was also a great king, knowing that his ancestors has to be released from this condition, and all his forefathers have tried to bring Ganges down to the earth, were not successful. So Dilipa also went into austerity, praying to Ganges to come down. He did so much so, but even he couldn't do it. He also left his body. Dilipa had a son, Bhagirath, great, great king, wonderful person, very determined in whatever project he takes. He went and performed severe austerity. Severe austerity. He prayed so much to Lord Brahma for many years. And Brahma appeared in front of him, who was very pleased by his austerity prayers. And he asked, "My dear son Sahara, I'm very pleased. What do you want?" He said, "This is my condition. I want to relieve my ancestors from this condition. Could you please help me to get the heavenly water so it can wash the ashes?" And Brahma said, "Well, I'm very pleased. You can certainly get it. But then Ganga, who's daughter of Himavan, is so very powerful. It's very hard to control her. So you may want to control her or flow, otherwise the entire earth planet will be destroyed by doing more austerity prayers to Lord Shiva." And Bhagirath again continued his prayers, austerity. Sometimes in India they say if a child is, if some children are studying very much, non-stop, very determined, they have a goal in their life, and very non-stop in their wanting to achieve something, prayatana, effort. That prayatana effort is called Bahirata effort. They say this in those days because Bahirata is very, very determined in what he wants to achieve. So many, many years he prayed to Brahma. After the instruction he got from Brahma, now he went on praying to Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva was also very pleased, and the Ashutosh, he was also very pleased. He also said that, okay, I can help you in doing this one. So you pray to Ganga, and hope she will come. When she comes, I will hold her on my head. In that way, it doesn't damage the earth, and you can take her to the place and purify the ashes. And then Bahirata prayed, continued his prayers. Why he was continuing his prayers? The Ganges from the heavenly planet started flowing down. And as per the plan, Lord Shiva held his head, and all the waters was just falling on Lord Shiva's head. She was so forceful, very, very forceful. And Lord Shiva could understand that she's being so mischievous. Ganga was so mischievous. So he so he could took all the Ganges it was flowing and tied a knot. Right? So the whole water was held on Lord Shiva's this matted hair. And she was not coming out now because she was completely controlled by Lord Shiva. And now Bahirata was thinking, what happened? I prayed and Ganges, so I saw that Ganges was coming. What happened to Ganges? Then he could understand that Lord Shiva has controlled her, tied her in his matted hair. And he again went and prayed to I went and prayed to Lord Shiva, asking, please, please release her so that I can complete my prayers and take her to the spot. And Lord Shiva again he was very pleased and he said, okay, I'll open a little bit. So he opened a little bit, and that water which came out of Lord Shiva's head passed in different direction. Hladini, Pavani, Nalini. These are different names. Has been Ganga has several names. Hladini is one name. Pavani is another name. Nalini is another name because she bends in different directions and like dancing and going in different ways. Therefore, our names are different, like different names based on our activities. So the king got into his chariot, and the Ganges was following the chariot, and the king was going in front, and Ganges was going behind, following the king. Bahirata was taking this in his way. And as he was going through different paces, as he was driving his chariot, he came over, passed through an ashram of a rishi muni called Jhanu. Jhanu. So the Jhanu rishi was performing his yagya, puja. At that time, this Ganges was just rushing through this ashrama. And Jhanu rishi saw this one. He said, he was very not happy with this because his whole puja is going to get spoiled. So what the Jhana Rishi did was he drank the entire Ganges. Can you imagine? He drank the entire Ganga. Now the Ganga is completely captivated in the in the belly of Jhanu Rishi. And the king Bahirata was going. Now, as he was going in the front, he didn't hear any more sounds, the water falling sounds coming, the flow sound. So he stopped and turned around. He saw the Ganga was missing. What happened? She was flowing so fast, rapidly. What happened to her? He went back tracing again. That's why Bahirata Prayatana means he was not giving up. He went back, tracing back. And he went and found that it was a Rishi's ashram, Jhanu Rishi. Then he could understand it was Jhanu Rishi was not happy with Ganga. Therefore, he drank the entire Ganga. There he begged and prayed to Jhanu Rishi, please, please, I did so much, many, many austerities, and somehow or the other Ganga is coming down, come down. Could you please release her? Don't keep it to yourself. Please release her so she can follow me. I can take her. And Jhanu Rishi was also very pleased. Now what he did was through his ears, ear pores, right? Through his ears, he released Ganga. Through his ears, the Ganga came out. Okay? Because it came from Jhanu Rishi, Ganga became a son or daughter of Jhanu. Therefore, she got another name called Jhanavi. Jhanavi, because she's born from a Rishi Jhanu. Jhanavi. Now at this stage, Jhanavi was flowing. She was flowing, and then finally they reached a spot, and Ganges passed through, flew through these ashes, mount of ashes, and everything was washed completely cleaned away. And Bhagirath was so very pleased, and the ancestors were all pleased, and they all Bhagirath went back to this place. Now, the purpose of this story is to understand how very important for the descendant to make sure that whatever has been their father, forefather, whoever it is, after they passed away, whatever the ritual that has to be performed, it has to be performed correctly for the benefit of the past Atma. So, this story, in fact, is not in such a detail in Srimad Bhagavatam. Whatever I told now here is spoken very little in Srimad Bhagavatam, but the entire story is in detail, is told by Vishwamitra Muni to Rama and Lakshmana in Balakanda in Valmiki Ramayana. So in Valmiki Ramayana, this whole thing was been complete with a lot of details is been given over there, and that is what we saw now. Anyone, there are four things that has been told. The four things are Ganga, Govinda, Gita, and Gayatri. Four ghas. There are four ghas: Ganga, Gita, Govinda, Gayatri. Any one of this gha has a power of liberating one from this material world, can attain moksha by chanting simply Govinda, Govinda Nama Sankirtanam. Govinda, Govinda. We hear this one, right? Govinda, Govinda, right? Like the chanting Govinda's name, or reading Bhagavad Gita, or hearing Bhagavad Gita, or chanting Gayatri mantra, or dipping oneself in Mother Ganges. All these four can free all the sins, wash away all our sins, so we can attain Krishna's lotus feet. Ganga is so very pure, it cleanses all the sins that we can even imagine. But we are so powerful, right after dipping into the Ganga and clearing all the millions of lifetimes of sins, we are so powerful than Ganga. Within a second, we collect all the papa that could carry for another 10,000s, million thousands of lifetimes. So we are more powerful than Ganga in collecting the papa. So Ganga was thinking that, my dear Lord, if all the sinful people come and wash their sins on me, what will happen to me? What will happen to me? I will become an abode of sins. But the benediction is, when one devotee comes and bathe in Ganga, Ganga becomes purified. That's the greatness of the devotees, right? Even one great devotee goes and bathe in Ganga, that time everything get purified. And this Ganga has different names. Mandakini. The spiritual world and the material world is divided by a river called Viraja Nadi. There is a spiritual world, Vaikunta, Goloka, and all above, and there is a material world, which is where we are here, right? This place is called the material world, and these two worlds are divided by a river called Viraja Nadi. And Nadi means a ocean, not a Nadi means a small pond, is huge. This water, that water comes down to different planetary system. When it comes to heavenly planet, then that is called Mandakini. And then when she comes down further into this earth, she's called with many different names, and prominently known as Mother Ganga, Ganges. Anyone who hears the story of how Ganga has appeared will get the blessings of Trivikrama. Trivikrama is none other than Vamanadev. It is also said Ganga is none other than the water that is washed the lotus feet of Vamanadev, and that is the water which has come down. And that is the water that Lord Shiva wanted to take on his head as a Charanamrita, as a Charana Amrita, the water which is nectarian that is washed the lotus feet of Vishnu, and he takes it on his head. He says, so that I can be purified. He talks out of his humility. Lord Shiva speaks out of his humility. But it is said that Lord Shiva get purified by bathing, by taking Ganga on his head. When Shiva is in that consciousness, think about us. Where do we fit into? When Shiva feels that he will get purified by holding the Ganges, which is washed the feet of Narayana, Vishnu, he get purified, then think about our condition. That is the greatness of Mother Ganges. Anyone who takes bath, anyone who hears the story, they get all prosperity, fame, longevity, progeny. They even want to go to heaven, they can go to heaven. They want to be happy in this world, they can be happy in this world. They want to become famous in this world, they can be famous in this world. They want to be rich, they can be rich. But ultimately, the devotees of Krishna, if you're truly looking for something, they will not be happy with any of these things. They will take, hold on, they will take the Ganges as the Tirtha, the water that is washed the lotus feet of Krishna. They drink to purify themselves, their consciousness, so that they can develop bhakti towards Krishna and ultimately go back to Krishna. Ganga Mata ki, everyone. Thank you. So that completes the story of how Mother Ganga descended into this world, and appreciate the story and value Mother Ganga was the holiest of all holiest water that you can think of. Now we can open up for questions. Yes, Rukmini.
I have a question which is like, if we come to Ganga and if we back, can we also wish for going back to Krishna?
That's the only wish you should aspire for. Don't We should not be aspiring for anything else. Okay.
Will it come and like either that we shouldn't, we cannot wish for getting back to Krishna. We could just wish.
No. See, you want to if you want to buy something for yourself, that is different. But if you want to buy something for your parent, is it not? It is also buying. The act is buying. Whether you're buying for yourself or you're buying for your friends or your family or your parents, right? Which is greater?
Buying for your friends, family. I will.
Yes. Therefore, praying to Mother Ganga, not for yourself, but to serve Krishna, to go back to Krishna and serve Krishna is greater. And that type of prayers is always allowed, is recommended. Therefore, asking is not bad. Asking to God is not bad. But what we ask matters. Got it?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Prabhu, there's a question from Lavlina ji
Yeah.
in the chat.
Okay. One second. When a person dies, ashes are submerged in Ganga. Does that mean the person whose ashes are submerged in Ganga gets liberated? I think it's the same answer for what I said for Jyoti. They will get closer to Krishna. They will get a better life where they are getting closer to moksha. If we dip into Mother Ganga with proper consciousness, then that lifetime will be the last lifetime where we can get liberated, meaning moksha. We can go back to Krishna. If you're not doing in that consciousness, then the options and opportunities will be given so we can come to that knowledge and understand the glory of Ganga and attain Krishna. So let me, excuse me, let me answer this in a different way. Lovelina, you know Ganga has lot of fishes in it. Many aquatics lives there.
Yes, Prabhu.
So they've been living there for hundreds of years. The question is, when they die, will they get moksha?
Yes, Prabhu.
No.
Probably.
The answer is
No.
not just because you're living inside the Ganga is going to give you moksha. This is exactly the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. Not just because I'm doing something, of course, there'll be a benefit, but it's not going to be an ultimate benefit. The knowledge is what is going to be added to give the real benefit. The fish does not think, the fish that is there in Ganga does not think, oh, this is the water that washed the lotus feet of Vamana Deva. Therefore, it's going to purify me. By my purification, I can attain Krishna. The fish doesn't think like that. Likewise, when we go to Ganga, if we don't have a proper consciousness, then it gives some benefit, but not
Return.
the, but not the ultimate benefit. When you wash the ashes into the Ganga, it certainly gives a benefit. It certainly gives a benefit, and that is what the Shastra says also. Okay, not that it doesn't have a benefit, but it gets you closer to Krishna of those people who passed away. Makes sense, Lavlina?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
This is not to say we should stop because we don't have that one. We have to continue the recommended process of washing the ashes in the holy waters. That is important to continue. Yes, Diksha.
why do um God Ganga lives in the heavenly planets?
Because we were not ready to have her in the earthly planet. Therefore, she has to be requested to come here.
Hi, I have an order. The order
Ganga,
number is 61429091.
let the number get over, then I can. Okay. So Ganga's place was there. That was her abode. That is her place. Bahirata prayed and asked her to please come down. Okay, Diksha?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? If there is no other questions, the next class we are going to see a beautiful, everyone knows about in the hierarchy of Sagara, another great personality appears. Guess who that is?
Lord Rama.
Lord Rama. So next Saturday we are going to see about Ramas and Rama's activities, glories. It's going to be a short Ramayan class next Saturday.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have a comment. I like the whole class.
You like the whole class? Very good. Oh, we forgot about the assignment. Does anyone completed their assignment of memorizing those two slokas? Did anyone try that?
Prabhuji, I remember the first sloka Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha.
Please, can you tell that?
Yeah, sure. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangastejopadayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Bijayate.
Beautiful, Diksha. Very good job. Very nice. Anyone else?
Prabhu, she said the sloka in the beginning also.
Oh, she did. Sorry, I missed it.
That's fine. That's okay. Yeah.
So already that has been covered. Then I want to ask
No,
again.
it's only she completed it. Nobody else sang the other sloka. So
Okay.
if the other kids they want to do it, that's fine.
Prabhuji, can I say I know the two slokas?
Yeah, go ahead, Mahati.
Jayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshi Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodha Pijayate Krodat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibhrama Smriti Bramshad Buddhinasat Pranashyati. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mahati. Okay, I guess that's all then, right? So for next class, children, you all can just write some points from the stories today, and then you can share in the next class whatever you remember, inspired from the story, Ganga's story, what inspired you. You can write those points and you can share next Saturday. Um, that's all, I think, Ashok Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. I think it was a good class.
And then we want to announce that anyone here wants to come and collect the calendar. That is 2 o'clock today.
Okay. Yeah. So Lal Prabhuji is distributing the calendar today at the Hindu temple, parking lot, the new community center, row 2. He will be there from 2 to 3. So please, if you wish to get the calendar, please come by and see him. Uh, Anything else, Prabhu?
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you all very much. Once again, Happy New Year.